Politically, again, you guys are doing a great job. I mean, the way you're handling yourselves, the way you're governing yourselves, all right, you're doing everything right, reaching out to other groups. It's called net wars, all right, because it's all about networks and networking with other groups, all right. All of the criticisms you're hearing about yourself, well, you're not organized. Well, disorganized is a scary thing, okay? You're not sending a consistent message. Confusion is your friend, all right? You know, there's no structure here. A horizontal organization looks at a vertical organization, and the vertical organization gets vertigo and collapses, okay? Build your networks. I'm not going to preach to you about how you organize yourselves because you're already doing a great job of it. Build your networks. The guild is part of your networks, all right? We're one of the things that you can reach out to, okay? We got a limited number of lawyers. We can do certain things for you. We send legal observers out there. We'll negotiate with the police for you, although you got really good police liaisons. All right, and they do a very good job at it. They instinctively know the matrix. I didn't even have to teach it to them. Okay, they do a very good job of it. All right, but we can, if we've got a serious legal issue to deal with, we'll deal with it. We provide observers. If you get arrested, we'll come to the lockup for you. All right. If you get charged with the crime, we'll have to talk. Well, no, I mean, like in New York, 700 people arrested. We can't handle that. Okay, we just can't. All right, that you'll either get the public defender or we'll recommend people. All right, so understand that. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Pardon? Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that. What, you know, actually to prepare for arrest, all right? There's a couple of good things to do. Somebody else should know your name, okay? Frequently, it's a good idea to have buddies, all right? Somebody else should know your name because if you get arrested, I can't go to the police station and say, I want to see that guy who got arrested. I got to give him a name. I got to give him a name. All right, and that's also sometimes you hear people giving advice. Non-cooperation with the police. Don't give them your name. You don't give them your name, you're just going to sit in there. Okay, and they might run your prints and figure out who you are anyway. All right, but some people do that. It's your choice. All right, they're not going to let you out until they figure out who you are. All right, but somebody should know your name. All right, it's a good idea. I noticed a lot of people have been writing our phone number, our hotline number on their arms. They will give you a phone call at some point, but usually somewhere far into the process after you've been arrested. Good idea to call us to let you know where we are. That phone number we were using, and I think everybody's got it, it is a 24-hour hotline. Somebody's watching it, all right, so you will get a response. What'll happen, the police, well, I'll say it out loud, and I'm gonna have to get it myself.
773 309 1198
1198.
That's right. Now the police, yeah, go ahead. What's up? Yeah, that's a good way to do it. No, not necessarily. I mean, if you're planning to do something that gets you in trouble, you don't necessarily want to advertise your name. But my understanding is, so far, you guys don't want to pick fights. All right, so yeah, having your name there so that somebody can see it when you get arrested, and then our number there. What'll happen if the police take enforcement? All right, understand, it's what I was talking about before. The police have a lot of discretion on how they deal with something. All right, and for instance, Los Angeles, they are not enforcing the law. Letting people sleep on public property, letting them store things on public property, they are using their discretion not to enforce the law. That happens all the time. Okay, so if you think they're picking on you, they are. Okay, but that's not their choice. That's coming from the politicians. All right? They also have discretion if they decide to enforce. They have discretion as to how they're going to do it. The least they can do to you is write you what they call an ANOV, Administrative Notice of Violation, a ticket. All right, now that's the least they can do to you. All right, I mean, you know, for instance, I saw somebody getting an ANOV today. Some guy was out on the sidewalk drinking a beer. All right, I didn't know what was going on, but I went over and talked to him, and I pointed out that the police officer was doing him a favor because he was just writing him a ticket. That police officer could have arrested him. Okay, and I've seen that in other situations where, you know, they're ticketing a bunch of people for drinking in public. All right, anybody says, hey, what the fuck, why are you ticketing me? Well, then they get arrested. Okay, they have discretion. Don't blow it. If a cop's writing you a ticket, to a certain extent he's doing you a favor. Because most of the things they ticket you for, they could arrest you for. All right? And don't escalate, because then he will. All right? He could have arrested that guy today. He didn't. He just wrote him a ticket. The good thing about the tickets is you're not charged with a crime. All right? That's an administrative court. It's not a real judge. The rules of evidence don't apply. All right? You don't get any kind of record. You got to pay a fine. All right? The good news is it's not a criminal prosecution. You don't get a record. The bad news is it's a kangaroo court. You almost always lose. All right? And the police officer doesn't even have to come and testify. So you don't get to cross-examine them either. They just put the ticket in evidence, and that's prima facie case. All right? So that's the first level of enforcement. If it becomes an arrest, all right, even then, there's still some discretion there. All right, police can characterize something as a misdemeanor or a felony. All right, a misdemeanor is a relatively minor crime. What they'll do is they'll bring you to the police station. All right, if you got ID, they'll take your prints, they'll run your prints. If you don't have any warrants out on you, you will walk out of the police station at some point, signing what's called an I bond, an individual recognizance bond. All right, not having to pay any money, and you just go back to court. I should tell you, I think they do it on purpose. It usually takes 6 to 15 hours to clear your prints, so you're going to be spending the night in jail. All right. If they want to escalate to a misdemeanor, and they have discretion too on that. I've seen it happen. I've seen them, you know, just smooth talking a cop to get him to knock a felony down to a misdemeanor. So they have discretion. All right? If it's a felony, you're not going home then. All right? You're going to spend the night there. They're going to bring you over to 26 in California in the morning. You're going to appear in front of a judge. The judge is going to decide what your bond's going to be. All right? And, you know, felonies you generally want to avoid. You know, tonight over at the occupation, somebody who they understand he was not one of your people. All right? But they got it on camera. Somebody slugged a police sergeant. Dumb move. Okay? He's going down for felony battery to a police officer. All right? That's not a record you want. All right? That is, in most cases. I mean, if you, I don't know. I can't always tell people what to do, but you know, if you slug a police officer, realize you're going to be a felon and you're probably going to prison for a while. All right? Realize the consequences of it. How they respond is largely a function of what they're presented with from you. And keep that in mind. All right?
What do you recommend instead of going to the basic a little bit time?
Well, you know, that level is called intermediate weapon systems. All right? And it includes not just the pepper spray. It includes baton, taser, all right, anything that is not intended to be lethal. And note that, not intended to be lethal. They can kill you with a baton. They can kill you with a taser. They can kill you with a lot. You know, somebody who's got asthma, they get the pepper spray in their mouth, that could kill them. Intermediate weapon systems means things that aren't meant to kill you, but they can still kill you. All right? If they're at intermediate weapon systems, you probably made a mistake in that. And the thing is, you know, if you're getting hit with a baton, it's really hard to control yourself. All right? It's really hard. And I don't know, I think if I got to that point with the police officer, I'd just kind of curl up in a ball. Okay? Because again, if you flail your arms, which would be a normal thing if you're getting whacked, all right, I could probably curl up in a ball. All right? Because if that doesn't get you under control and you become an assailant, it's just going to get worse. All right? Think about it. Those guys wear body armor, they have pistols, tasers, batons. Are you going to win a fist fight with somebody like that? It's not going to happen. All right? It's not going to happen. All right? Unless you got a pistol. All right? So I'm not going to pick a fight that I know I'm going to lose. All right? I'm just not going to do that. I'm not, there's an old expression, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. All right? Unless you're better armed than they are, it's kind of a mistake to pick a fight with them. All right? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't bring a gun, or I wouldn't bring a knife to a gunfight. You know, I just wouldn't do it. It's just kind of dumb. All right? You can't beat them physically. And you don't want to beat them physically. It's not about that. Keep that in mind. All right? You win with your organization, your networks, your ideas, your message, and they're not the enemy. All right? The guy in City Hall is a guy who's giving them their orders. All right? And you've seen that. A lot of these police officers, they'll tell you, I agree with you guys. All right? And I've seen some of the signs you guys carry. We're protecting your pension. You better believe that Rom's coming after the pensions of the public workers. He's coming after their union contracts. He's picking on the teachers. He's picking on the laborers. He's picking on the police officers. It sounds terrible to say, well, they're just following orders, because that has reminiscences of Nazi Germany. But that is a difference.
Yes,
it is a difference. They don't want to get fired. If they don't follow their orders, they lose their job. Okay? The real problem is the guy up on the 5th floor of City Hall. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Is it possible to stay at City Hall without getting arrested? Or is that just playing out?
It's possible. Okay? A lot depends on how you plan it. A lot depends on how they want to respond to it. I understand, for instance, that a bunch of people did a sit-in over on the bridge here today. All right, and they were nice religious people who have a lot of experience with that, and they were detained, and they were given tickets and released. If you're going to do something like that, think it out. Think it out very carefully. And again, religious people, guy with the Roman collar, who's going to hit him? All right, a nun, who's going to? One story I say when they get to empty hand control, you're busted. I can think of one circumstances where I got them off empty-hand control. And that was walking into a situation where they were busting a bunch of social justice people, okay, and they called me up and said, get over here, they're going to arrest us. All right, and my friends are like in the press room of City Hall, and I walk in, and I'm like, oh shit. All right, there's a cop who's got his hand on the wrist of this little old lady. And the only reason he grabbed her on the wrist instead of up here is because she was a little old lady. Okay, and they're playing a tug-of-war thing. And it's like, oh fuck, he's got his hands on Sister Ann, he's at empty-hand control. Then it occurred to me, she's not wearing her habit. She was a rabble-not-rousing nun. He doesn't know she's a nun. There's an angle. I walk up to the cop, officer, that's a nun. He's like, oh. I'm sorry, sister.